You're listening to episode 819 of the Father Bills Podcast. Welcome back. This week's episode is entitled, I Surrender Myself to You, given on the Solemnity of the Nativity of the Lord, 2021. Today is Christmas, and Merry Christmas to you all. It's a wonderful season. It's an awesome celebration, one of the highest next to Easter that we have as Catholic Christians, as all Christians. But it isn't all that for many people. For some, it's more difficult. Let me backtrack. When 2 years ago or more, my mom would say to me when I'd go to visit her, you know, I may not be here around for very long. I go, I know, Mom, I know. And actually, every time I would leave the house, at her house in Dallas, Oregon, I would wave goodbye and thinking this could be it. And for a while, it was like that. She did take a turn, finally at a point, and she was put on hospice. This will be my second Christmas without my mother. But my mother has inspired me through her life, suffering, and death. And it's because of her relationship with Jesus. See, in that time she was telling me that I'm not sure I'm going to be here very, very long. She also said, by the way, there's this prayer I'm doing. It's a novena. It's pretty amazing. It's like Jesus is talking directly to me. I'm like, yeah. Okay, Mom. I'll see you when I come back. But she would continue doing that. She would continue doing that for so many times. Now, a novena is 9 days, right? A novena, 9. It's a 9-day prayer or a 9-time prayer. Not night time, but a 9-fold prayer. Some novenas are very strict about how they're to be done. This one's not. The Surrender Novena is what it's called. Where we're asking God, we're telling God, I surrender myself to you. Take care of everything. That's the phrase. So there's some reflection that the priest, I think it's Father Donato, I think I'm getting it wrong. But nonetheless, he originally created this as like a rosary. And the mysteries are the reflection of Jesus telling him, and us connected, to just let go. To not to worry. Not be anxious. And I find it potent for here because Christmas time is a lot of anxiousness for folks, even though it's supposed to be for joy. So he would have this reflection, then there would be a refrain that they would say in the novena, and it's, oh Jesus, I surrender myself to you. Take care of everything. It's very potent and very simple. And it's very timely. She did this so many times, she put little check marks on her little prayer card that near her death, we looked at the card, I'm like, wow, there's a lot of check marks on here, maybe 30 or more. So she was doing this every day for over a year, preparing herself. Preparing herself. And the night before she passed away, my sisters helped her with it. It's like, wow. Amazing. In her funeral, I offered that as the theme of the homily, because that's really what encompassed her focus of her life in her last year. Well, in fact, all of her life. A wonderful Christian and a great example to me. But this was a very potent prayer. And so I offered that at the homily, and at the church where we did the funeral, both archbishops showed up. I'm like, already, number one, it's hard. Can you imagine having to do your mom's funeral and then have to preach at it? And on top of that, both of your bosses show up, the guys with the pointy hats. Archbishop Sample, Archbishop Blasny, both showed up. I'm like, oh Jesus, I surrender myself to you. Take care of everything. I've never had to preach in front of archbishops. My bosses. So subsequently, we gave a copy to whomever was at the funeral and one to the archbishop. And long story short, he eventually started praying it. Found it very helpful for himself. Eventually I get a manila envelope on my desk. I open it up, and there's 10 Surrender Novenas that the Archdiocese now produced. I'm like, whoa! With the recommendation and encouragement to share this with everybody. Now, I'm not much into movements. As a pastor, I'm like, we got the liturgy, let's kind of stick with that. And there's lots of devotions. I can't do all these devotions. But everybody else, if they want to do devotions, awesome, it's great. But now I'm being called to spread this devotion. And I go, okay. I kind of sheepishly, like, all right. I gave it to a few people before. People really liked it. So when I got this manila envelope, I'm like, okay. So I ordered 1,000 of them. That's a lot. What am I going to do with 1,000 prayer cards, right? So I mentioned it at the Mass. Maybe you remember this. Put them out in the narthex. And within a few weeks, they were gone. So we ordered some more. In fact, I ordered some more right before Christmas, another 1,000. And we've now had over 3,000 of them ordered and given away. So at the end of Mass, please, when you leave, feel free to take a Surrender Novena card. Take 1, take 2, take 10, take whatever you need. We got plenty. The goal is not to be skimpy about them. The goal is to share them with anybody. Because I hope that you will find them helpful as they were for my mom and for myself and for those who have also participated in it. Again, the basic phrase is, oh Jesus, I surrender myself to you. Take care of everything. These, by the way, have been reprinted so many times in the Archdiocese. They have done printing almost to 20,000 of these cards. It's like, whoa. A good friend of mine, in conversation with him, he's a Catholic musician in Arizona. He asked me if maybe we could put that to some music. I'm like, well, that makes sense. In fact, that would be great. Think about it. How many of you remember, and don't raise your hand, any of my homilies? See, right? You don't remember that. But you remember songs, right? I bet you if we kick out a Christmas hymn, you'll be like right there, right? Jane and Johnny on spot. Just you'll be able to kick out Silent Night, no problem. But if I said recite it, it might be difficult. There's something special about music. So if you have not heard this, I'm going to teach us the refrain with music. John Poirier is the author of the music, and with permission, we've been offering this at the 5 o'clock Saturday Mass, every Mass, for like, I don't know, 6 months, maybe more. But hopefully it's in your range. I've caped with the guitar to put it in my range. I was once a baritone. I think I'm now a tenor. I'm not sure. So I'm going to say the phrase and sing it, and then I'll teach it to you. So it was like this. Oh, Jesus. Try that. Oh, Jesus. I surrender myself to you. Try that. I surrender myself to you. Listen. Take care of everything. Try that. Take care of everything. Try this whole thing. Oh, Jesus, I surrender myself to you. Take care of everything. Now, we may sing Joy to the World. We hear about angels in the gospel, but we hear that shepherds were afraid. Lots of people may be afraid or stressed out. This is Christmas time, but we're thinking, we got stuff to do. By the way, Santa has already done his thing. I was tracking him on our NORAD Santa tracker, put it on the website. And even the James Webb telescope launched this morning, no sign of Santa. So he's done. So you're good to go home. Just let you know. But that Santa's not the focus of Christmas, of course, right? Jesus, born in the manger, is the focus of Christmas. It's his birthday. Why did Jesus do this? Why did God choose, because of the problems in our world, to do it this way? Remember, Adam and Eve, from the beginning, sinned. And it's just been a mess ever since. There's been darkness shrouding us, death encompassing us. I'd like to think of it this way. We hear in the scriptures that he would be Immanuel. It was a prophecy. God with us. This is how he's going to, you could say, quote unquote, solve or aid us, rescue us from the powers of sin and darkness. So as we're now in the swing of Christmas, many people are stressed because they may be struggling to find that gift. Or maybe they've done all their Christmas shopping and now their credit card is to its limit and they're stressed out. Maybe you're going to somebody's house or they're coming to your house. You're stressed because maybe you're worried that things aren't clean enough or it's not the way it needs to be. Or you're going over to somebody's house where maybe you don't get along very well. Maybe it's in-laws, maybe it's your own family, maybe it's a friend, and it's not going to be peaceful. It's going to be chaos. And you're not peaceful for that. You're stressed by that. How do we deal with that? Well, I would suggest great medicine, which is the Surrender Novena. To recognize, just let it go. Give it over to Jesus. He can take care of everything. Join me. Oh, Jesus, I surrender myself to you. Take care of everything. Oh, Jesus, I surrender myself to you. Take care of everything. Oh, Jesus, I surrender myself to you. Take care of everything. In this past year and a half or 2 years, lots of things have been going on. A pandemic, polarization, struggles between people, arguments that have broken relationships, people that are struggling for jobs, some who have been let go of their jobs, and all the tertiary things with that. Things that you are expecting. If you need to go to a store, it's not there, or you need a service and it's not available to you. Instead of getting a surgery soon, you have to wait weeks or months or whatever it might be. That's stressful. And that may cause fear because you may have, or a loved one you have, needs a typical surgery and they can't have it right away. Maybe a relationship is on the rocky shores. Maybe it's your spouse. Maybe it's your siblings, or maybe it's a child that's left the faith. I hear this a lot. Adults, as parents, their adult children have left the faith. And that just tears them up because they've raised them in the faith. We live in a very secularized world, but it's so hard to be a parent. It can be scary to be a parent. And yet, we recognize while there's darkness, there is a light that is shown. I mean, I'm an amateur astronomer, whether you know that or not. I'm an amateur astronomer. When I look up the sky, I ponder deeply, or I look through my telescope, I ponder deeply on, wow, that star, whatever, nebula, it's thousands of light years away, maybe millions. I see galaxies, they are hundreds of millions, billions of light years away. It boggles my mind that in the darkness of space, a single light can travel so far and so long, hundreds, thousands, millions of years, to enter into our atmosphere, to go through my eye and die in the back of my retina so that I can see a light in the darkness. Yes, they may be massive, but they look like a pinpoint to us. Isn't it amazing how God has given us nature to remind us, though there may be darknesses and we walk through valley of darknesses, that He will be there with us. Immanuel, He walks with us. His answer to our stresses and our fears is not let me fix it in a simplistic way, but I am here. Immanuel, I am with you. I am That's God's name, I am. I'm with you. And with God present and with us, he can do all kinds of things. I've seen miracles. I've anointed people who were about to go in for a surgery and they recovered incredibly well. In fact, what they were looking for wasn't as bad as it was seen in the x-rays originally. Or they go to get checked out and whatever it was is now gone. God can do miracles. We may be afraid to even ask for them because we may doubt or not think that we're good enough, worthy enough. I just encourage us to let it go. Surrender yourself. Surrender all those things to God, to Jesus, and let him take care of everything. Oh, Jesus, I surrender myself to you. Take care of everything. Oh, Jesus, I surrender myself to you. Take care of everything. Oh, Jesus, I surrender myself to you. Take care of everything. Other stresses that may befall us, as I mentioned before, this may, in my case, is my second Christmas without my mother. But maybe this is the first time, a first Christmas, for someone that you love is not here. Someone that maybe it was unexpected or expected, but they're not here now. They passed away, and that causes you grief and mourning. Maybe someone's been given, and it was unexpected, a diagnosis of some kind of terminal illness, and they have months. Maybe that's you. You haven't told anybody yet. Maybe you're afraid to share that. Maybe you're a spouse whose other spouse is now suffering from memory issues. And it's getting so dramatic that you're not sure how you're going to deal with this. Because now you've had to let go of a whole bunch of other things. Maybe maybe it's work even. It could be volunteering in something, a ministry, or maybe you're helping somebody else, or a recreation thing that you like to do, but now you can't because now you're pinned down because that loved one of yours cannot be left alone. Now you can say shackled at home. But for the love of your bride or your bridegroom, you stay there and you have to clean up the messes and repeat yourself many times. And it's stressful and it's sad because they are slowly leaving you. Do not be afraid. You are not alone. Christ came in as a babe in Bethlehem so that he could be with us walking on these difficult journeys. Think about it. We're not talking about a Pollyannish God that's like, well, you're such a whiner. What's your deal? No. Jesus, from his early childhood, was threatened to be killed by the leader of the country. He had to escape and go to Egypt with his family just to save their lives. Someone's out to get him. And in fact, didn't, but wiped out many young children to find him. There was a target on you. They return back. Jesus then grows up, and now he's challenged by the leaders of his faith and of the civil government. And while he gathers people around him, his apostles and disciples, they eventually, most of them, abandon him at his darkest moment. Rejected, betrayed by his closest people. Maybe you've had that to you. Has happened to you. But even worse, they don't even go and follow him to help him. In this case, other than John and Mary and the other Mary, some of the other women. Stripped naked and nailed to a cross, like another manger. He's born in a manger, in a wooden manger. He's now dying on the wood of another manger to die. He knows now what it is to be human, not just intellectually, not a head trip. He knows by walking through it, falling 3 times with his cross, being crucified and dying. That's probably the greatest fear most people have, is dying. Some people say, I'm not afraid of the death. I'm afraid of the dying part. The pain and the suffering, the humiliation. I get it. So does Jesus. But see, because he's God and man, he pulls humanity through death and crushes it. Stamps it out. No longer is it a door and an unopened space, but now it is a doorway open for eternal life because of him. He's now pulled humanity through with him into heaven. And that's why Jesus came, so that he could take us to heaven, so that we could be like him in our humanity and become like him in heaven. Not God, of course, but the human beings we were meant to be from the beginning. How do we get to do that? How does that happen for us? Well, it's certainly not by holding on to our pride and our ego. Certainly not by being rebellious in spirit. It is about letting go and surrendering our will to his. Once again, the Surrender Novena comes in great aid in this. To surrender and let Jesus take care of everything. Pray with me. Oh, Jesus, I surrender myself to you. Take care of everything. Oh, Jesus, I surrender myself to you. Take care of everything. Oh, Jesus, I surrender myself to you. Take care of everything. Oh, Jesus, I surrender myself to you. Take care of everything. Oh, Jesus, I surrender myself to you. Take care of everything. Amen. Thank you again for listening to this episode of the Father Bill's podcast. I want to thank you for all your support during this year as we're coming close to the end of 2021. Your prayerful support has been very much needed and very well received on my part. Thank you so much. This Surrender Novena prayer that my mom shared with my family and myself has done amazing things for us and has spread far and wide. It's amazing how a death has created a resurrection for so many people in their lives. And I look to, of course, my mom in this regard, but obviously it's all about Jesus. And so when you get into difficult situations and you're not sure what to do and you're worried, you're afraid, I just would encourage you to pray, "Oh Jesus, I surrender myself to you. Take care of everything." Now, if you have any questions or comments, as always, go to my website, fatherbill.org, FRBILL.org, and there you can look at my website and email me directly if you wish, and you can see my social media connections and things like that, and I'll do my best to connect back with you if you email me or try to connect via those media sources. In the meantime, may God bless you, and have a blessed Christmas season. Bye-bye.